Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan and we are here today to talk about the Challenge All-Stars Season 5, Episode 1 on MTV. I'm joined by my lovely Vermontian co-host, Zoe Trimboli.
Hi, everyone.
Unfortunately, our Southern co-host, Luke Muncie, is not with us this week. And full transparency, I don't know if me and Zoe even knew we were going to be doing a podcast about this episode but here we are right now. Neither of us feel 100%, but we're here for you guys. We're here for you guys, and we're here for All Stars.
Yeah, recovering from the flu, so please excuse my lack of energy. I know I'm usually operating at 1,000, but.
And All Stars 5, Episode 1, no elimination. It's not a full episode in the way that we're kind of used to. Not as long as the MTV episodes either. So two big takeaways that start off with. I think some fans are going to be upset that there was no elimination, but I thought this was a very good introductory episode that set the table of we got reintroduced to all these faces. We got a lot of backstory. And I mean, there's no, we just had this MTV show with 40 people where you forget who's on the cast at all times. They established almost everyone on this season right here, first episode.
Yeah, I don't feel like there was wasted time in this episode. I understand feeling frustrated when you get to the end of a long episode and there's no elimination, if you feel like there's a bunch of things that you just wasted time watching. But I felt like this was a really well-paced episode. And like you said, we got a lot of good background and reminders about the beef that went on between these characters. So I think it was a great episode.
Yeah, we recapped season 39 and season 40, and both those seasons had episode 0 launch specials, where our big takeaway was, why was this not labeled episode 1? Because it was critical viewing for understanding what was going on for the season. And I feel like that's what they did that. They gave us episode 0 and called it episode 1 this time around.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We jump right in. I think there's some immediate shocks. I mean, you have Frank Sweeney just walking back onto our TV screen for the first time in over 10 years. And Frank only did 2.5, a little over 2 seasons of the challenge. He did Battle of Seasons, Rivals 2, and then was out after the 3rd episode of Free Agents because of a medical issue. It felt like he was on 20 seasons, though, for those 3.
It's really crazy. It feels like so much more. He made such a big impact in such a short period of time. He did have that one mercenary appearance on Vendettas, but yeah, Frank is such an enormous character in this cast to only have been there for such a short period of time.
You got him returning to the cast. Then you have Shane, who made his big return on Invasion after being gone for 10 years and was actually a much bigger character than his initial run. Then we hadn't seen him since Final Reckoning, so he's been over 5-6 years. I'm someone who thinks, I've said this before, I think Shane saved the challenge because the impact he had as a veteran returnee really got the wheels moving of all these other OGs who started coming back to the show.
Truly. Shane is an icon. He is so funny, so dynamic, just knows how to make great TV, and he's a good competitor to boot. I'm so giddy about having Shane back on the show.
He plays the game hard. He's just also he's unhinged too. He's also he's so messy, and you got both him and Frank as powder kegs. They're 2 separate hurricanes coming in different directions, both onto this cast. And as a whole, we find out immediately it's a rivals theme. We're getting into more some of the returns. We find out that the prize pool is $300,000. $300,000.
Yeah, which honestly, that's the challenge I grew up with, right? I think we got so accustomed to these enormous prize pots that feels low, but even if you're splitting that, $150,000 is not any sort of money to laugh at. That's a good amount of money.
It's not bad. It's not great either compared to some of the other prize pools we're giving out.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, while this cast has some really dynamic personalities, I don't think there's a ton of super heavy hitters on this cast either. So there's a bunch of people in contention to win, that I think wouldn't be in contention to win on a flagship, even though this is on MTV.
And that's an interesting thing to bring up because this cast has 26 people on it, 16 women, only 10 men. So it's not an even split. There are guy-guy pairs, guy-girl pairs, and girl-girl pairs, which it's going to lead to some. I don't think we're fans of this format at all. Whenever you cross, just the game is easier to make fair when it's guys going against guys and women going against women. It just is.
Agreed.
But we do have a very unique cast that I think balances a lot of these pairs out in terms of strength. And do you want to jump right into them?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we're going to go in order of the way these pairs were actually introduced by TJ one by one. And the first pair was a dual male pair, Steve and Adam. And this was such a funny pair because they introduced it as Steve stole Adam's star, which Steve 100% did steal Adam's star. But it takes out the context that Adam threw his friend under the bus and into multiple eliminations. And then had many confessionals where he said a lot of really mean shit about Steve.
Yeah, Adam's a certified weirdo. He went from like having this like squeaky clean image to just being like a brat, like in one episode when all this stuff went down with Steve. Steve, I think, has more right to be irritated with Adam just in his behavior and how like underhanded he was in his treatment of him on All Stars 4. But Adam, you would never have guessed that based on the way Adam's behaving on this episode.
And it's crazy too, because the Adam we saw at the end of All Stars was, I think, the Adam I expected. Because Adam, that was kind of his persona non grata, like in his original run. I think Adam is a guy who should simultaneously he should be and he should not be on reality TV. Because I think he's kind of gotten hooked to the challenge again and reality TV. And he was clean and sober from it for 10 plus years, raising a family, living his best life. He comes back on the show. He has this bubbly, like positive personality. And the more he got into the game, the more messy he got and the more egotistical he got. And it's really fascinating to watch because I do think as a reality TV character, I like the messiness. As a human, I think Adam is better not on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And Steve's there, and he's fine.
He's funny. Every time he comes on your screen, I remember why I like this guy. I will say he shaved the beard, which was a really bad choice.
It was startling, for sure. I mean, I've gone through that with exes before where I was dating a guy with a beard and then he shaved it and it took me a full 2 weeks to get used to him. So maybe just give it a couple weeks and we'll get used to Steve's face.
His beard was really good before though. It's why he got the Jason Momoa comparisons. I do think he looks a lot older with the shaved face actually. And
yeah, oh for sure.
Dario also talking about, comment, this might not be the strongest field. He was joking oh my God, there's so many old folks on this show, and then they pan it on Steve and Adam. At the same time though, these two guys are really good competitors.
Yeah, no, they're a pretty excellent male pair. There's not many of those, and I think once Adam gets over his enormous ego, I think they're gonna work really well together.
Yep, and then moving into from one ego to another, back to Frank, because it was him and Sam as a pair once again. Obviously, they won Battle of the Seasons together, but it's one of the hardest seasons to watch in terms of the way one teammate's treated another. Give me your thoughts on Frank and Sam.
Yeah, I did not want Team San Diego to win Battle of the Seasons. I think that's why I think I mentioned this in one of our podcasts recently that season, it took me a while to appreciate it because I hated the outcome for so many years because of Frank and Zach specifically, and Sam, honestly. Um, I think that Frank seems to have turned a corner and really is interested in rehabbing his image a little bit. I think he's also fighting the impulse to really be honest about how disappointed he is to be partnered with Sam, who's clearly even more out of shape than when they won that season together.
Yeah, and here's the thing, when Sam was out of shape on Battle of the Seasons, she was still in better shape than I think half the female cast on that show. Um, there's just no way to be around the bush. I don't think we've had someone with Sam's body type on the show, really. I mean, ever in the last decade. I mean, I would say not even Aneesa. I don't know. I don't think we've seen someone in Sam's shape really compete on the show at a high level ever.
No, I mean, I don't think you can compete at a high level being that out of shape.
And I think, Frank has all those thoughts going around his mind. I mean, that guy has 1,000 thoughts going in his mind at all times, and he's just trying to put on like a happy face and try to do his best as a pair. So I think Frank is the best player on this cast in terms of like ability, and fitness, because even like he's a smart guy. We saw him like be steady better when he wasn't on the show. He was a soul cycle instructor for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy's like, he's mega fit, and he could like actually, like Jordan Wisely's mentioned, like Frank is a guy who could give him a run for money in a final. So Frank is the best player on this cast, but he's connected to someone who clearly is not the biggest threat.
Not that far off, like Jordan being paired with Aneesa on Ride or Dies. So
we're gonna have to talk about her in a minute, but before then, we have to talk about some beautiful wallpaper. Dario and Ashley K. And when these two got together on Invasion, I was like, this is the perfect couple. Because they were just both so low-key, boring, but also just beautiful together. They were just, and when they broke up, we didn't really get to hear what was like the breakup situation because, well, nobody really cared that much.
Yeah.
As we found out, basically Dario was still in his fuckboy dirtbag phase, as even he said, fumbled the bag. In that time, he's since started his own business, got a degree. He's doing well. Ashley K had a baby with former NFL player Kerryon Johnson. He ran for 1,000 yards with the Lions. Career very quickly fizzled out. So they split up. He's no longer in the NFL. Ashley's single with a kid. Dario is single, and they both look amazing.
And Ashley seems to agree that Dario looks amazing. And he mentioned that she looks hot too. So I'm really curious as to what will happen.
I'm going to send you a photo right now of them looking at each other, like after they've been paired and they're talking to each other. And I'm going to put this in the podcast as well for those watching on YouTube. And these two are such beautiful wallpaper. Like they're so together. I'm rooting for them to get back together.
Is Dario ready to be a dad?
I mean, he does mortgages and stuff. I don't know, maybe. Well, when they got together too, like, so she's like 6 or 7 years older than him.
Yeah.
So when they got together, he was like 25 and she was like 31, 32. Now he's like in his 30s. So probably matured a bit. Hopefully.
We'll see.
Underrated. Dario is also a masshole. People forget that. He's a Massachusetts guy.
Yeah.
So I think as a pair competitively, and as we saw like later in the Daily Challenge, sneaky, not a bad team.
Oh yeah. They're very physically competent. Not the smartest pair in the world, but they're going to be like in shape, able to hang in any sort of endurance-based challenge.
And I think as we've seen in All Stars before, sometimes it's less about like who's the biggest threat and who can just like who's never coming in last. And I don't think this pair is ever coming in last, and they aren't going to have to like the target on them as being like the biggest threat in the house either.
No, they're gonna fly under the radar for quite a bit, I think.
Yeah. A team that's not going to fly under the radar is Ashley and Aneesa. And they are not happy to be paired with each other, whatsoever. Their pairing comes as a shock to me because it's like Ashley has so many potential rivals in the history of the show. Aneesa has so many potential rivals on the history of the show that I wouldn't ever put these two together, but they definitely don't like each other.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And meanwhile, though, like watching them together, I was like, oh, this is not going to be fun for either of them. And Ashley's a huge return too. Like we talked about Shane and Frank, but Ashley coming back on the show, although she wasn't gone that long, is very exciting. I thought it was hilarious when TJ asked her how she felt and she said not like $1,000,000. I feel like this is production making Ashley pay her penance to come back on the show.
And Aneesa is rolling her eyes at the concept of having to compete with Ashley. Like, you got a two-time champion as a partner, someone who actually knows how to win the game. And they don't like each other because they think they're bad at the game. Each other's bad at the game. And Aneesa just doesn't like the way Ashley plays the game. This podcast is always going to side with Ashley over Aneesa in this situation. I'm going to be upfront because Ashley plays the game to win and Aneesa doesn't.
Yeah. Duh. Like, what else is there?
The dysfunction will be fun, though, and I don't know. Hopefully we get a decent run from Ashley. I really hope it's not another, 3 to 4 episode, 2 to 3 episode run, like Double Agents or Total Madness.
I could unfortunately see them doing quite poorly in challenges together in the beginning.
Yeah. But Ashley she does have some Lavender Lady backup because we got Sylvia and KellyAnne as a pair.
Yeah, I guess I think I just have poor memory when it comes to these shows. I didn't realize how much they actually hate each other.
I feel like a lot more of it online, like the beef, visual beef online was KellyAnne and Kayla, but Sylvia hated KellyAnne maybe just as if not more. And when Sylvia really doesn't like someone, she does not like a person. Interestingly, too, is that Sylvia gave birth just 3 months before this season.
Amazing. She looks so good.
So good, but it does also worry me. It's like you had a baby 3 months ago. Athletically, this is going to kind of be an uphill battle.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you've lost the weight, just as someone who follows sports, any woman who's given birth and then tries to come back to sport, it takes a while to get back into, I've never been a woman, so I don't know. I'm just talking from
on your body. No, it's like carrying a child and then childbirth is a trauma on your body. And considering all the rest you have to do after that happens, can't imagine that she's had a rigorous workout routine heading into this season. So I think they're a really great team though. And I think actually a lot of Sylvia's strengths are KellyAnne's weaknesses and vice versa. So I could see them really working well together once they figure out how to get along.
I agree. If Sylvia, it's just the fact it's literally just the thing she gave birth 3 months ago. If not for that, I would put them as a sleeper team to win this season.
Yeah.
Because they do balance each other out well. At the same time, though, communication is so huge, and I don't expect these two to be communicating well at all.
Yeah.
Next up, we got a pair that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it's on the season. It's Nicole and Melissa.
Who do you think they were just trying to make sure they got on the season and they forced this as a rivals pair? Which one did production want on the board? I don't get it.
I guess it's Melissa because her and Big T were rumored for season 40, but then were alternates and dropped. I guess that's the move here. They also aren't rivals at all.
No.
Melissa
hung out with Laurel one time and decided that Nicole was problematic. But Melissa doesn't have the capacity to hold a grudge, especially with someone like Nicole, who's just a straight up dog, who's already talking about cheating on her new partner, fiance, girlfriend, whoever it is, she sees Melissa.
I felt so bad for Nicole's at the time girlfriend because they just put her on that screen right there, and it's like, well, you're going to be cheated on. Just it's just like her face didn't need to be doxxed to America as like getting cheated. It's going to happen. We already know it's going to happen just based on like what we've seen already on this show.
Yep, it's inevitable.
I will say though, Melissa coming out of the pool in that blue dress did look phenomenal. It was like, I'm still going to judge Nicole, but I'm going to judge her a little less after that.
I'm actually judging Melissa more because I think Nicole's disgusting. Like, yeah, Melissa looks great. She's crazy and unhinged as well.
Well, Melissa had someone taking care of her kid the last time she was on a season, had a showmance on the show. So, like, they're both very much in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Piggybacking onto, like, the Dario and Ashley, and then now Melissa and Nicole. Two of these partnerships are just exes in a rivals format. What do you think of that?
I think it's kind of impressive, but are they saving people for an exes season? I wish, honestly, like we already talked about, I hate the male female male pairs. I wish that they had just figured out ways to make either all male female or half male half female pairs. It makes me wonder if they're waiting for if this is going to become a theme with All Stars, and they're going to have an exes season soon as well.
I would hope, because especially like if there's so many like highlight names you could put on an exit season, Dario and Ashley would definitely get left off of that, but because you're having this type of season, throwing them on here is, a good opportunity for them. Plus, they're just also like, they're quiet personalities, and this is their chance to like make noise. And if they don't do it here, don't ever cast them again.
Yeah, exactly.
After Nicole and Melissa, we had Nany and Turbo though, and Turbo is such a fucking weirdo.
I hate him so much.
And I've never been on the Turbo, like even since like his first season, I've never fully been on the Turbo train.
I was on his first season. I thought he was endearing and sweet, and I thought his motives seemed pure. Like I bought into the whole like I want Nany to be proud of me, and like him actually being respectful of women and people in general. I bought that hook, line, and sinker, but now I just think he's the worst.
And he's simultaneously like such a big asshole, such a toxic, like beat his chest type guy, but he's also such a coward all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. He's infuriating.
We also had Nany had like one of her first confessionals of the episode talking about how she wants to win, so because her and Casey are building a family, and production kind of hope they, Nany made that announcement a couple weeks earlier before they edited that together.
Yeah, hot on the heels of a Nany and Casey breakup announcement. In case anyone's missed that on social media, I don't see a lot, but I did see that.
I mean, okay, theoretically, this is a very strong pair because they were a top contender pair to win on World of Worlds 1, which had one of the strongest casts ever 5 years ago. So, like, should they win a season like this? 5 years ago, yes. Today, I don't know, just because Turbo is he's so difficult to deal with. He puts such a big target on them. And I don't think Nany is always in the right headspace anymore in this game.
Well, and part of the reason I think they worked so well the first time is like Turbo had deferred a lot of the game maneuvering stuff to Nany and was really respectful in listening to her. So their communication was really excellent. And he does not look like he's in any way ready to communicate with her.
I get so annoyed every time he's on screen. And it's not even just that, like, what he says, just even the noises he makes, just him breathing, it just, I don't know. I feel he's so off-putting.
Hate him. I really do.
Someone I hate too. We got Beth and Jonna, and I don't hate Jonna. I hate Beth.
Yeah.
And Beth is just such an unhinged, like kind of evil person who takes no responsibility for her actions, no ownership of who she is, no self-awareness. Um, when they announced this pairing, Jonna was really, I mean, she was in tears because yeah, she was in tears because I think what was shown to us as like the obvious reason is that, Beth fucked with Johnny's marriage and she almost upended her life, which if someone does that to your life, you're going to be really mad.
Yeah. Over a game.
And that's the second part. I think the real reason Johnny is really, really upset is that not only is she playing this game with someone who tried to fuck up her life, she's not winning this season now. Because Beth is the worst player in the game. Beth, 20 years ago, her body was too clunky and out of shape to compete at a high level. Nowadays, like it's a miracle she doesn't break a hip out there. It's insane that she's on this show still. And Johnny knows like Beth's a quitter. She's afraid of heights. She can't run a mile. So how am I going to win a game with this person when that's literally like that's how you need to play the game?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like Jonna has just put herself forward as like a powerhouse on All Stars, and to come back and after winning 2 seasons of All Stars and then be partnered with Beth, like she knows what's going to happen. And I think there's also a part of her that doesn't want to help Beth win either. Not that they could, they really can't. Jonna knows that, but like she doesn't want to see her be successful either. She doesn't deserve it.
Jonna forgave Zach recently on that podcast they did together like 6-8 months ago. But even if they hadn't done that and they brought Zach into this moment, Jonna would have like rolled her eyes, but then been like, you know what? We probably have a pretty good chance to win right now. Let's get this money. Let's focus. But with Beth, it's just like, okay, this person sucks. She might bring down my life even more, and we're gonna lose.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation for Jonna.
Jonna should just quit. I'm not even like, I don't see any. Like Beth's done it enough times in her life. Just fucking do it on Beth.
I would respect it and understand it.
Next pair we got though, and the one that I think is definitely going to get the most noise online, Davon and Shane. The Davon and Shane like messiness on the Twitter timeline in like 2018 was, I mean, absolutely insane. Like what they were saying to each other like hit a new level of like online back and forth. Got really ugly. And now they're partners together. And I genuinely can't believe it, but I also kind of love it.
I love it. I'm actually shocked they got Davon to come back onto this show. And I think that this is a sleeper team too. I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think that they're going to butt heads. I also think they are going to figure out a way to work together. And I think they're going to end up friends at the end of this. But I'm really excited to see this chaotic journey that we're definitely going to embark on, because Shane's unhinged and Davon doesn't back down to anyone ever.
I think they're going to be the loudest team.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be a power team, but they're going to be like the team to like follow throughout the season, because they're going to be getting into the biggest fights. But also Shane is a really good game player where he knows, like, no offense to Davon, when it comes to actually like playing the strategic side of the game, like she's probably like not the best player, but Shane is really cutthroat. He's really strategic. He makes inroads with certain people. He takes big swings. And then Davon's personality is always going to have her on his level at the same time. So no matter what, they're going to be really leading the show in confessionals. I mean, every season Davon is on, she's up the top, like tops the confessional charts. Shane, the last season he was on, it was him and Bananas carrying Final Reckoning. They're going to be fun to watch.
Can't wait.
a team that I think can actually like win this game though is Fessy and Amber.
Yeah. They're talk about like balance and physically so strong. I think Fessy brings all the things to the table that Amber's missing, and I'm struggling to see a situation like any sort of challenge that they're not going to do a good job at together. I think they were the pairing though when they came on the screen. I really was like, this just feels like 41. This should have just been the challenge 41 because they're so new in the scheme of things for All Stars. Well, I do think like Amber's a champ. Fessy, I think, has proven that he's excellent at this game and is gonna be around as long as MTV wants to keep calling him. They feel like a flagship pair to me.
And it's such a funny dynamic because I think like Fessy is so much better of a competitor than Amber. Like, and Amber is the one who has the title of champion, and she'll always have that over him. And now for him to get the win, though, he needs to make her a two-time champion. Because Amber, like, statistically, she's one of the worst daily challenge competitors ever. She's essentially never won a solo or pair daily challenge. Fessy is awesome at them, though. And if Fessy can carry her to that point, we know Amber has the cardio to kill a final.
Yeah, she's just got to figure out like kind of what Nany did. She's got to figure out how to not like impede people. She's just got to be able to like follow someone's path and get things done.
And we got to also hope that there's no like portion where it's only the woman doing a puzzle, only the woman doing a math portion or something like that. If they can avoid that, then like they're a really good team. They should be like pretty unstoppable. After them, I will say, if Dario didn't come on the season looking so good, I would have bet on Fessy and Ashley K to be a showmance. Like, I would have bet my entire like life savings on that.
Oh yeah, that's so fair.
Next pair, who I don't dislike these people, but I don't think they should be on this season as a pair. Cory and Big T.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a awkward relationship. I think they'll probably hang around for a minute because they're not a huge threat and they have like some social connections, at least Big T does. But yeah, I could have gone without this pairing.
And it's like I'd welcome seeing Cory on season 41 or 42. But I just don't think that like if we're talking about all stars and being ingrained in the franchise, like he's not ingrained in that way. Because I think, I mean, at least Fessy, he debuted a few seasons earlier, and he's been such a big part of the show. He has so many seasons under his belt. Amber has so many more seasons under her belt, and you know she's won a championship, like you said, and she's a mom now. These two are just not like
no,
they're not OGs in that type of way even.
No, they're very much like still in the flagship era. Putting them on All Stars, this is what the fans are gonna like rumble about, and they're like, these guys aren't All Stars, and I think they're right in that respect. But I think this is a kind of pairing that just happens when you're trying to fill out a cast, honestly.
And I also think like if one of these two was paired with an OG, it would make sense. But it's the fact that they're paired together amongst this whole group. Next team though we have is Devin and Leroy, and I saw some people online upset that these two are a pair. They're like, "What's their rivalry about?" And I'm like, "Well, every season they've done together, like since Vendettas at least, they've never liked each other and they've been at odds. So this is a fair rivalry in my opinion."
Yeah. Well, again, like this is a really strong male-male pair, one of two male-male pairs. I think they also have a massive target on their back. So I'll be interested to see how they get along. I just think these two, their personalities just don't mesh. Like Devin is the opposite of Leroy in so many ways.
I mean, I do think there is like a part of Leroy who needs a player like Devin as his partner. When I think of like what's the best Leroy's ever done in some of his challenge careers. That first season he had with Mike Ross, where like Mike was like the more like the puzzle side brain and the communicator. I think Devin is obviously he's not as nice as Mike. He's actually not even a hundredth as nice as Mike, but he holds that same capacity. He's a lot more athletic. He knows what it takes to win a final, which he'll tell us about multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
But they are real threats to win. I just at this point in time though, I really doubt Leroy's ability to win because we saw him come up. I mean, came up short on double agents. Last season, All Stars 4 he was really underwhelming, and then got booted first by Tony on season 40, which maybe he was just there for a paycheck anyway. But still, I'm just not sold on Leroy winning anymore. And yeah, simple as that. I'm just not sold on Leroy winning at this point.
I mean, this is potentially the partner and the season and the cast that, like, if Leroy doesn't win, he's not winning, right? Like,
That's what we said last season, though. I feel like.
I mean, they're.
That's what we said with All Stars 4, and it didn't happen. It's. I love our girl Nany, but I feel the same way about her, where it was like that Ride or Dies final. They kept like Devin and Tori just kept taking like an hour lead, and production's like, all right, let's just all run together again now. All right, let's give you another shot to win. And they just kept fumbling and fumbling and fumbling.
Yeah, I've already expressed that as a Nany stan, I've accepted that she's not going to win, even if she hasn't accepted it yet.
Last pairing, a team that's definitely not winning, Katie and Veronica, which Veronica wasn't even there for the initial like pairings. I guess she got a late flight and just came a few days later.
Sorry, excuse me. I'm really powering through right now. I didn't take my Dayquil today. That's a classic Veronica move though. She probably was like, no, I can't come until this day. And today they just put her on the later flight. I'm happy Katie's back. I think All Stars is where she belongs. She looks great. I think these two, I hope that they last at least a little while because I want to see them work together because I think again, like their personalities are so different.
Based on the daily challenge too, there's no indication that last place goes into elimination.
Yeah.
So if you're a player in this game, let's try and keep Katie and Veronica as long as you can. Mm-hmm. If anything, be like, hey, I'll give you my star, Katie and Veronica, so that you can run the final. They are not winning the team. They found the only woman that's shorter than Katie in the history of this show. Veronica is, as we've seen on All Stars like 4 and 3, she's not bad at playing the game still. Like she's still actually pretty good at playing the game. She just doesn't have the physical ability to win a final.
Yeah.
Together though, they are just going to be so out of their depth, and a complete non-threat competitively. They'll be fun to watch, and it is a dream rivals pairing, 20 plus years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're a UFC fan, it's like if Conor McGregor had a dream fight and then we didn't get it for like another like 15 years, which is probably going to happen in like 2040 when they go for the money grab.
Yeah.
We're gonna get Khabib versus McGregor in 2045 in a celebrity boxing event. Like that's gonna happen, and that's the equivalent of like Katie and Veronica being paired in 2025.
Yeah, that's valid.
That's our pairs for the season. Anything else we got to talk about before we get to the daily challenge? Because like we had stuff going on throughout the house, but I feel like
the only notable thing was that there were some people already talking about like, are we going to be able to steal the money? Which I thought was really interesting and funny.
It was such a setup by production too, to have them like, hey, talk about this. Hey, talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny too. Like you look at these pairs, Steve and Adam, that would be the funniest pair if one of them stole it. Just seeing how they're already interacting with each other. I don't think Sam will steal it from Frank. Frank might steal from Sam. Ashley would definitely steal from Aneesa. Aneesa will never have the opportunity to steal from Ashley. Sylvia and KellyAnne would be funny. Oh my god.
I can't imagine either one of them stealing at the end of a season.
Yeah, if they somehow came together and did it, yeah. Oh my God, Davon and Shane.
Davon made this big point about how she recommitted herself to God. I don't think she could steal from Shane unless she was justifying it by she was like doing it for her kid.
Do you think Shane would steal from Davon?
I don't think he would.
I think Shane is really messy too, but I feel like that's a level of that's a code of honor where he's like, no, I'm gonna share this still.
I think once like you get to the end of a season with someone, Shane doesn't like there's good people and there's bad people. And like Bananas is a bad person, right? And so that's why he stole from Sarah. And I actually think Ashley's a good person who had every right to steal from Hunter.
Devin would steal from Leroy. Leroy would steal from Devin.
Yeah, as they should.
Cory might steal from Big T depending on his personality of the day.
Yeah.
Amber would not steal from Fessy, but Fessy would steal from Amber.
Mm-hmm.
Would Nany steal from Turbo at this point?
I don't think Nany would steal from anyone. And I think it would be the most gut-wrenching thing in the world to watch that terrible human steal from Nany.
Melissa would steal from Nicole. I don't know if Nicole would steal from Melissa.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, now that we talked about those hypotheticals, let's jump into the daily challenge. And the daily challenge was essentially a 3-part obstacle race where they had to do a bunch of team events where they had to carry stuff together in unison. And it probably is going to be the most physically intensive daily challenge they do because they've been opening All-Stars with these really intense, like mini final type challenges. And then it kind of just goes into carnival games from there. And you know what? It really set the table to show people who are the strongest team.
Sure did.
4 stars were on the line. Do you want to talk about who did well first, or just like talk about who did bad first?
We can talk about who did well.
So the overall winners were Steve and Adam, and they came in first place. And Dario's commenting about them looking old, looking real dumb, real fast. Because Adam, I mean, he's kind of like a marathon runner type guy. He rides bikes cross country, and Steve has gotten in such better shape since All Stars 2. And he's actually trending for the show, and he's come close to winning, and they crushed it.
Killed it.
Adam had the comment that like, see, Steve, this is why you shouldn't have like stole my star on All Stars 4, because then one of us could have won the season. And I'm like, dude, that's exactly why he stole your star, because you would have been really good in this final.
Yeah. Duh. And you were conspiring behind his back the whole time. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Next up in second place, though, we had the other male pair of Devin and Leroy, which when they came in second place, I think it's very apparent having these dual male pairs might not be the most fair thing.
100%. I thought the same thing. And I think especially after watching the way Leroy performed on All Stars 4, to watch them turn around and come in second on this challenge with Devin is a perfect example of why it's not fair.
Third place, though, was Dario and Ashley K. And I mean, that's a big win for both of them, especially as like under the radar type players that really like, you know what, put their name on the boards. Fourth was, so the last star came down to 2 teams. It was Cory and Big T and Turbo and Nany. And Cory and Big T were trying their absolute best. Turbo and Nany overcoming their bad chemistry. At the end of the day, talent wins out though. And yeah. Turbo.
It was just honestly just like experience too. And Nany and Turbo looking over and being like, oh, we just have to beat them? Okay, let's pick up the pace a little bit. And that was all it took.
Cory and Big T, they train a lot. I mean, like, Big T has grown a lot as a competitor. Cory's improved a lot as a competitor. Them at their best is still just not as good as Turbo and Nany.
No.
At their dysfunction. And I think that's going to be, I mean, that's why if they'd gotten this win, it would have been big for them. Turbo and Nany, even despite everything, even with Turbo being a weirdo, they still got a star.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about some other teams though that did poorly though. And we had, I think one of the teams that really stood out was Sam and Frank, where Frank after the daily challenge is all like, "Oh, me and my partner gassed out." Well, my partner gassed out. I didn't. I was just there.
Yeah, and I think he said something like, "What do you want me to say?" Like, he's really trying not to belittle Sam, but he's also already stressing about how this is going to go for him this season. And I get it. Like, that's an anchor.
I'm gonna say something, and that is, I think Frank needs to be more of an asshole to Sam because this trying to put on a positive face thing from him of like trying to be supportive, it's not fully working because with his voice and with his eyes, you could see his true emotions at all times. So even when he's trying to be nice, you could still hear his actual thoughts, what he's actually saying. Frank needs to let the asshole out a bit and like don't push around Sam. Don't physically touch her like he did on Battle Seasons. But he's got to be a little bit more of an asshole, and I think Sam would actually do much better in that scenario. And I think as a team they do much better. I hate to say it because like I think he's already saying those words without saying it while trying to be positive. I think he just needs to be a little bit more of himself.
I don't know how much better Sam can do, Allan.
Look, the positivity is not working. I can tell you this. I watched the game tape. It's just that's not the play.
I hear you. I just don't know if there is a play that's going to make Sam better than the way Sam performed in that daily.
Well, look, I also have game tape of Sam winning a championship, and Frank was a lot more of an asshole then. And look, don't be fully that guy, but find a middle ground in between there. You got to find like, do you ever watch Ted Lasso?
Mm-hmm.
His character Jamie Tart. You need to be a little bit of an asshole sometimes, Jamie Tart. You can't just always play selfless soccer, football, whatever. Like you just gotta really like Frank. You gotta let out the beast because that's what makes you a special competitor. It's what makes you a winner. Um, just don't go into the red zone, but shred a little bit in the area.
I mean, I think he might eventually just out of sheer frustration.
Yeah, they are not long for this game though. If they continue to play with like the positivity type thing, and as a reality TV character, he's just not that interesting if he continues that, mode of playing the game either.
Mm-hmm. It is kind of funny watching him like internally combust though, because I can see that he's really trying to hold it together. So I think it's only a matter of time.
It's such an interesting like social experiment that MTV has decided to put him through too.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvia and KellyAnne also struggled. Ashley and Aneesa struggled. Um,
Beth and Jonna.
Katie and Veronica. Um, Unfortunately, these are all dual female pairs. Um, Maybe they should have had their own division to play in. Maybe that's what the daily challenge should have been. You should have had like 1 star for all the dual female pairs, 1 star for the dual male pairs, and 1 star for the co-ed pairs.
Yeah, and
At
then
least for this,
one overall like top.
Yeah.
The problem is there's only 2 male pairs. It's the casting is weird. Like the demographics are weird.
Yeah, 6 of the 10 men in this cast already have stars. That's not a great sign for like the most fair formatting.
Mm.
Um, we don't even know though, like what we don't even know is an elimination coming after this. They didn't tell us really. Like they just told us like people have stars, you have to protect them. We generally don't know where the game is going from here.
Not a clue. We have ideas of things that are going to happen throughout the season, but nothing as far as an elimination.
I'm really excited to see what happens next episode. I mean, we're kind of still in the dark even of like do we expect like are they gonna have another daily challenge or are we gonna have an elimination? It really could be anything that happens. I don't know. All in all, I really enjoyed this episode. This was honestly basically like our cast breakdown and preview episode more than it was like an episode 1 recap. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah, there was. It's well worth the watch. A lot of reminders about why all these people don't get along, and I thought it was nice and brief, and it didn't drag on, which was great. We got to leave the people wanting more.
Yeah. And next week we'll come back and recap this episode. Hopefully we won't be under the weather. Hopefully, um, apologies everyone. We're trucking through this. This episode was good. Next week will be better, hopefully. All Stars 5, we're in it for the long haul. Have a great weekend, everyone. Subscribe to us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, wherever. Have a great weekend.